For our next speaker, it is my pleasure to introduce Robert L. Schein, Managing Director and Partner at Blanky Schein Wealth Management and founder of the Society of the Financially Empowered Women, also known as The Few. Robert founded The Few in 2011 to create a space and community where women of all ages can acquire the confidence and skills they need to take control of their financial lives. Stemming from his own experiences with his mother, wife, and 3 daughters, Robert recognized the growing need for women to have access to financial literacy in an ecosystem heavily dominated by men. This past January, Robert launched the inaugural CW3 Confidence Summit and gave a keynote presentation on his 7 keys to financial wellness. I am excited to welcome Robert back to the stage this year to once again share his powerful 7 keys to financial wellness. Please welcome Robert Schein and his 7 keys to financial wellness.
Thank you, Bronwyn, and everyone at home, welcome. We really appreciate this. And this whole Confidence Summit is specifically for you. We really want you to take something, even if it's just one thing throughout the course of the day, home that will change your life, financially speaking, or just change your life in general. Today, I'm going to specifically talk about the 7 keys to financial wellness. You know, in my career here, 20 years plus of a financial advisor, I've had the privilege and the honor of serving those families through the ups and downs of all of their financial lives. And I can tell you personally that it's not all roses, right? Everyone's going through something financially speaking, personally. And I mean everybody. Before we begin in discussing the 7 keys to financial wellness, let me share with you my inspiration, personally speaking, my why I started the Society of the Few Financially Empowered Women, and why we created the Confidence Summit, Women, Wealth, and Wellness. And it really comes down to my personal experience as it relates to my family, right? A lot of things in life start at the kitchen table. And for us, we had a very traditional family growing up. My dad came over in 1953 through Ellis Island as an immigrant in this country. And it was just a wonderful sort of American dream story where, you know, first generation in this country, first generation to have his sons, both my brother and I, my mom and my dad worked so hard to have us have quality education. And that's what my dad basically said. He's like, listen, Mom and I are sacrificing for 2 things. And this is why our family came into this country, is for 1, opportunity, and 2, for education. So I've been grounded in the educational sort of mission. And as I grew up, that was the foundation from day one. My dad really wanted to experience the American dream, number 1, for both my brother and I and our family. And number 2, just the education that it provides. And that's why my inspiration is here for you. But the story goes deeper, right? My dad worked all of his life to 70 years old, and hardworking, middle-class family. My mom worked as well. And, 7 years into retirement, he basically says, okay, I'm going to retire at 70 years old, and we're going to now enjoy the kids and the grandkids, right? And at that moment in time, 4 months into retirement, my dad gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Life absolutely changed, right? My parents' lives, in what they had planned, now just took a detour, and specifically for my mom, right? So not only she has to be lurched into the medical advocate a world as it relates to dealing with my dad and going all the medical appointments, understanding what all this means and interpreting that, but more importantly, being the medical advocate and the primary caregiver for my dad over the next 3+ years as he had his battle and ultimately lost his battle with cancer. But at the same time, she also was lurched into the financial world. Now, my parents are blessed in the sense that both my brother and I are financial advisors. And so my mom immediately had the assistance of network of advice around her, very specifically. But that being said, she, like most people in America, don't have the foundational educational, financial literacy, if you will, right there, and because it was a traditional family in our household. My dad, took care of the finances as well. And so my mom is now lurched into being a medical advocate, understanding, all this new medical language from the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona, as well as all of the finances, right? Not only just the investments, but it's everything as it relates to estate planning, as it relates to taxation and CPAs and all. It literally is a lot of different languages that are thrown at you if you're not in this world. So what my mission is, and my brother and I has helped my mom. In fact, my mom still to this day is an amazing, bright, intelligent, very successful. She's actually a better investor than my dad ever was. But now she has the education. We provided the foundation, the framework, and the basically everything that she needed, and we partnered with her every step of the way. And that was the inspiration personally for me to create the Society of the Few, financially empowered women, and then ultimately giving birth to here, the Confidence Summit. Did you know that 9 out of 10 women will be solely responsible for their own financial well-being at some point in time in their lives? Now, I'm a father. My wife and I have 4, beautiful children, and 3 out of the 4 are girls. So financial independence for women is very important to me. In fact, I've got 7 nieces. So this whole world about education and empowerment, and more importantly, the financial aspect or financial independence for you specifically, you're going to gain so much knowledge today. And that's my hope for you today as we go through this. 7 keys to financial wellness. Key number 1, mindset. Key number 2, open to growth. Key number 3, art of negotiation. Key number 4, planning. Key number 5, family and community. Key number 6, network of advice. Key number 7, self-care. Now let's go through key number 1, which is mindset. But within that, there's 6 steps that we're going to go through that could help change your financial mindset, or even your mindset as it relates to just the world that we're living in right now. So number 1 is own it. We're all going through something financially speaking. I've already said that. But more importantly, we all have a financial past. And it's not always roses, right? It's not always the best. But that being said, we've all made, myself included, financial mistakes in the past. You have, we all have. In fact, even the most successful investors of all time, Warren Buffett and everyone else, have made some major financial missteps. Okay? What you do is you own it, and you forgive yourself, right? Whether it's something you spent too much money on, or just a financial decision that just didn't go your way, or something you even missed out on, right? I wish I invested in this, and that went up, and I missed that opportunity. Whatever it is, you own it personally, and then you forgive yourself. Just let it go. That's the only way to move forward and change your life going forward, because that's the only thing that really matters. Let's be honest, right? Step number 2, understanding your money mindset. This is a really easy step. In fact, tomorrow you can start right out of the gate. When you wake up to when you go to bed, I want you to do this one specific thing. Track everything as it relates to your decision-making and your habits around money. We all have them. We have tendencies that we, whether we overindulge or we basically decide to spend money on the $4 cup of coffee, right? Or as anything that relates to money. Track your mindset. In fact, what that's going to do is create a pattern of awareness for you financially speaking. That awareness is something key and critical as it relates to changing and improving your financial life going forward. Only you can change your financial life. It's really true. No one else can do it for you. But you have to start with what your money mindset is and track it. Therefore, whether you create a plan. We're going to talk about creating a plan, but you can actually stick to it. But you have to sort of track each and every day your money mindset, and then see. You'll be shocked. Trust me, just do it for one day and see what your decisions are. And you want to become aware of that. And that clarity will then provide you clear direction going forward. Step number 3, stop comparing yourself to others. Grass is not always greener on the other side. And in the digital world that we're seeing, social media, as well as the celebrities and all the sports stars, it's not. In fact, as a financial advisor, I'm here to tell you, everyone's going through something financially speaking. Everyone has issues, right? In fact, I don't know if you saw this, but Sports Illustrated just reported 78% of the NFL players that go into 2 years into the retirement world declare bankruptcy. So 78% of retired NFL players are declaring bankruptcy. Well, one, that's a real bad network of advice, if you will, right? Because they had all the opportunity, but they also didn't have a group of people around them that took good care of them and help them. But more importantly, it's not greener, right? Everyone's going through something financially speaking. So stop comparing yourself to the celebrities or the Joneses across the street, and start with you, because that's the only thing that really matters at this moment in time. And it starts today. Step number 4, create and maintain good habits. Let me ask you a question. How many hours a week do you spend in your financial life? I'll wait for the answer. If you're an hour or less, I'm going to tell you it's not enough. Millionaires, if you will, spend more than 2.5 hours a week just learning, educating themselves on trying to improve their own personal financial position in this world. You can too. In fact, you should. Let me give you an example of the best and easiest way of doing it, right? We're all connected to social media. Change your daily digital, if you will, right? Go on to podcasts, or you have time, you don't even know it. Increase your knowledge. Why is that important? Because that's a snowballing effect. The more you learn, the more you have confidence, right? And the world is abundant of all of great financial resources, and they're free in this world, so there's no excuse. And don't tell me you don't have time for social media, because I know you do. So start subscribing to those that have financial sort of education and empowerment, because you want to gain your confidence. The more you gain and the more tricks you pick up in terms of confidence, the better your financial independence and the closer it will become for you. Step number 5, optimize your budget for happiness. Now, it's not all sacrifices, right? We all have to live our lives and have fun along the way. And I totally get that, especially as a financial advisor. I see that all day long. I don't want to put you on a budget and take all the fun out of your life. But I will tell you that you're going to want to pay yourself first. What I mean by that? Well, let's think about this. A great guideline for budgeting is the 50-30-20 rule. What does that mean? Well, 50% goes to your needs, and 30% of your budget should go to your wants, and 20% should be set aside for savings. So out of all of that, the most important is the savings component, right? Pay yourself first is what we say in the financial services world. What that means is your future self will thank your present self, right? It's no different than when I come home, and my kids know this. I'm notorious for this. I will hide a candy bar in the freezer somewhere. I usually do that personally. And at some point in time, maybe a week from now or 2 weeks from now, I'll go and hopefully it'll still be there. Chances are it won't be. Your future self will thank your present self. Now, my final step to changing your mindset is step number 6, which is practice gratitude. We're going to have you create a gratitude journal and write down every day one thing that you're financially and personally each thankful for at the end of the day. I want you to detail that and log that every day, and then go back over and over and over and recounting. And you're going to see over time, not only the gratitude that you have and the steps that you've taken personally, both financially and personally speaking. It's going to change your life, and I'm excited for you to try that. Key number 2, open to growth. Benjamin Franklin once famously said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Did you know that the only sustainable competitive advantage is learning? It's the truth. Be open to growth. Constantly be a lifelong learner. It's the only way you can maintain and develop a competitive advantage, but more importantly, gain and control your financial life and financial freedom for you and your family. Now, think about this. Do you know that real money, and I mean real money, is made in this world before 8 a.m., after 5 p.m., and all weekend long? What do I mean by this? Very specifically, those that are working at making money aren't doing it just on their day job. They're constantly gaining the knowledge. They're spending the extra time on their off hours, if you will, and 24/7. Besides what they're doing, we all have a job on a daily basis, and not everyone has the ability to be in the financial services industry. In fact, you probably didn't even take a financial course, maybe 1 or 2 throughout your course of your life, and that's okay. But that can change going forward. Like I said before, the real money is made when you change your daily habit, as I discussed before, and add into your mix, if you will. And it's like a muscle, like anything else. You really want to start working on increasing your investment knowledge or your financial knowledge. It takes baby steps, one step at a time. And as you do this, you become more confident and more comfortable with the subject matter. I'm asked all the time, Rob, where do I go to learn a little bit more and gain a little bit more in terms of just financial knowledge in general? The first book I would recommend is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If you haven't read it, you do yourself a favor, start with that one. The next one is, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The next book is Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. If you haven't followed Dave Ramsey, please do so. You could go to all of his social media, and he's going to financially get you on the right track. And he's a great resource. It's a free resource, so I recommend it for everybody. But also get that book as well. There's also Thomas J. Stanley's Millionaire Next Door, another classic. These are all personal finance. These are all investment related. But more importantly, these will change your life financially speaking. We've got more resources for you to take a look at. But start with a book, and those are quality books to start with today. Key number 3 is negotiation. Everyone's negotiating every single day from the minute we wake up to the minute we go to sleep. In fact, whether it's business or financial life or even family, all aspects of our lives, we're in the midst of a negotiation, and the most dangerous negotiation is the one you don't even know you're in. So it's important to spend some time, and let's talk about negotiating, if you will, and I'll give you some tips and some tricks that will help you in your daily life. The reality is that, you get out of college and you go for your first job and you spent all of the years that you've built up in terms of your education and your preparation. But did you really spend the time to actually understand the art of negotiation? Because your first salary really then sets your financial trajectory for the rest of your life, right? It's critically important. Or whether you go and negotiate for a new car, or even talking to your kids from time to time. That's always a negotiation. There's all aspects of our lives that we're negotiating on a daily basis. Most importantly, never negotiate out of fear. And if you don't really know how to negotiate, or you've never done it before in terms of don't think you're good at it, well, the answer is just practice. You can do this at home. You can start learning about the art of negotiation, if you will, and it's literally something that you can do on a daily basis. And let me give you some ideas here of what you can start with. While the goal of negotiating is most certainly getting what you want, the fact is that the best deals incorporate terms and ideas from both parties. Here are 4 steps that'll help you. Number 1, have a clear understanding of what you want before you even start. Know what your outcome is, what you're willing and not willing to agree to. Number 2, have a negotiating strategy going into your meeting. This is done via your preparation and research on the subject, whether it's a job, a car, a home, etc. Understand your negotiating strategy and have it going in. Number 3, maintain communication and remain controlled. Communication is key and critical in any aspect of our lives, but continuing an ongoing communication, open dialogue, whatever medium may be, let's call it emailing or negotiating, or even on the phone or face-to-face, maintaining a controlled and measured communication is key and critical. But more importantly, out of this whole point here is don't get off kilter. So the other side is going to throw maybe a lowball offer that might be insulting to you. Don't fall for it. Don't show them your emotions. Maintain a measured approach and a controlled approach, but maintain communication and don't get heated, right? Take your personal aspect out of it. Take your personal emotions out of it. Really, that's the key to a quality negotiation is a third-party perspective, a different approach, but personally remove yourself from it, but the other side is going to say something outlandish, or they're going to give you sort of a lowball offer. That's a designed approach to get you emotionally upset. So don't fall for it. Trust me when I tell you this. Just say, you know what? I'm sorry, and maintain your cooled, calm, collected, and measured approach, because that's how you remain in control. The 4th step within negotiating is final offer. Think about this. When you're ready to submit your final offer and you're negotiating on something, financially speaking, and you're really close to coming to terms, whether it's your job or a car or a house, right? Obviously maintain the lines of communication as we've established before. But when you get really close, you submit your final offer, and once you submit your final offer, don't speak. The next person that speaks loses. This is going to take some practice. This is something you can do at home. It's a pregnant pause is what I'm really going after. You basically submit that offer, you look them in the eye, and you don't speak. And if it's a lowball offer from your aspect and they're, make an outlandish like, oh, come on, don't break eye contact and don't speak. Specifically, the next person that speaks loses in that negotiation. And don't forget, be prepared to walk away. It's okay. there'll be another car, there'll be another house, there'll be another opportunity. But you maintain control in a negotiation by being prepared to walk away. It'll work, trust me, and it'll actually get you the deal that you want, but it's important that you really go through and practice the art of negotiating, and hope these steps will help you negotiate a little bit better next time you have the opportunity to negotiate something in your life. So I've got some bonus round sort of one-liners that you can use, adopt, make your own, and practice at home. And they really help in the world of negotiating. Here are some of my favorites. If you were me, how would you go about solving this? Ultimately, what you're doing is you're asking that person to see it from your perspective. You're recruiting them in a collaborative effort. And more importantly, you're utilizing what they have as it relates to what resources are available, what options are available, and their knowledge in that particular situation, whether it be their service or their aspect of their business. You're asking them to help you help solve for that. Key number 4 is plan. Most success, if not all success in life, comes not by happenstance, but by actual plan. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you a little story about the 1953 graduating class from Yale. They asked Yale's class 3 questions. Number 1, do you have goals? Number 2, do you have your goals written down? And number 3, do you have a written action plan to attaining those goals? 20 years later, in 1973, they followed up with the graduates. Only 3% actually answered yes to all 3 questions. The ones that answered yes to all 3 questions were happier in their professional lives and happier in their personal lives. But get this, they controlled 97% of the wealth of the graduating class of 1953. So if you have goals, write them down. Create an action plan to achieve those goals. And if you're able to do this, you're well on your way to achieving success. So the purpose of goals is to capture what's really important to you. You can prioritize and you can ultimately, get rid of all the distractions and really have a laser focus of what's important to you and your family. Once you have established that, those goals can be in a written plan. And that plan itself is something that you can really work towards. We always often say in the business world, as an entrepreneur and a small business owner, you have a plan and you work the plan, right? So you're constantly working the plan. Now, keep in mind, another aspect of planning is also budgeting. And budgeting is not so much that, what you can't spend money on. As Dave Ramsey famously once said, a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Think about that. So my suggestion to you is take a financial self-care day to plan your strategy, whether it's debt reduction or expense reallocation, investing and saving and learning a little bit more about that and creating an action plan of paying yourself first and picking and choosing your 401k and participating in your 401k and employer match. Now, keep in mind, if anything last year taught us, especially about planning, like you could plan, but life happens, right? And things that we don't ever predict or even plan for actually take part. But having that framework and developing that and being comfortable with the planning process and realizing that the planning and any plan that you come up with is a living, breathing document that can change and ultimately incorporate the change as you go through your life. I get it. As parents or anything, as a small business owner, life changes and so should your plan. But more importantly, it's a good guide to help you not only today, but long into the future as a vision. So planning is key and critical to your success. Key number 5, family. If we take a broader aspect to family, friends, community, and then you add in the world of finances, right? Whether you're borrowing or lending or, even the inner dynamics of a family could get complex really quickly. Ultimately, it's important that you maintain peace within the family. Now, keep in mind that family values are different, right? And how you get to family values is simply by communicating. Right? Different generations have different value structures, but the most important thing is to continue maintaining that kitchen table conversation of what the values actually mean and what are important to you. And so you can transfer those values, especially when we do intergenerational wealth transfer in our industry. What we do is we have those kitchen table conversations with the families, and we talk about the values that are important from one generation to the next. Now, let's be honest. Older generations weren't raised to actually have communications around money. Money talk was almost taboo, culturally speaking, years ago. For whatever reason, it just wasn't discussed. And unfortunately, a lot has been lost through the years. And ultimately, people get inheritances and or dynamics, and they don't have the values that have been transferred from one generation to the other, or even expectations as it relates to maybe an inheritance or two. Conversely, when people start blending money within the family, it becomes complex and it becomes very contentious real quickly if proper expectations haven't been discussed in proper communications or even expectations have been met. Now, let me give an example. If you're borrowing money from a friend or a family member, the number one rule is to manage expectations appropriately. Here's what I mean. When you're borrowing from family and friends, you under-promise and over-deliver, meaning you pay them back faster and quicker than was originally contractually agreed to. That's very important because you want to maintain peace and you want to maintain that relationship with a friend or a family member. The other side of that is lending money. Think about this. The number one rule is only lend money you could afford to lose. Don't expect it back. And don't put yourself in a financial hardship, personally speaking, to make that loan to a friend or even a family member. Don't expect it back. And if you happen to get it back, wonderful. Now, keep in mind, there are all sorts of family conversations that you can have. And quite frankly, we often joke in the industry that I'm in, especially when we have family and finances come together. Oftentimes it's called Mom and Dad Savings and Loan. The acronym is M&D-S&L. And it's important to understand all the aspects and dynamics and all of that as it relates to workings and family. And we understand it more than anyone else. But there's also those great conversations and expectations that need to be set around values as well as charitable giving. Those conversations are important as well. Key number 6, network of advice. When it comes to financial wellness, it really does take a village. It's not just network of advice, financially speaking. It's building networks throughout your entire life. In fact, if you ask some of the most successful millionaires and billionaires, it really part of their success really comes down to their network, the people that they knew and they networked with. In fact, whether you know how to do something or not, your network personally should be so strong that within 2 phone calls, you should be able to have somebody in contact with you to help you be an expert in that subject that you want to know something about that you know nothing about. Keep that in mind as you go through your daily life, whether you're in high school today or in college or long into the future and you're trying to build your financial team and surround that. That takes work, that takes effort, but that network of advice, and I don't mean social media, and I don't mean that type of network. I'm talking about a true network of advice, people you spend the most time with, people that really are a reflection of who you are, your personality. Again, iron sharpens iron and makes you a quality person. Or more importantly, think about this. It's the neighborhood you want to move into versus the neighborhood you want to move out of, right? In terms of the people that you spend time with or the network that you have or building the network that will build your financial future. Those are all key and critical mindset and things to think about as it relates to network of advice. Now, it really doesn't matter where you are in your journey right now. You have to start today, whether you're planning your financial future or long in the middle of your financial journey. That being said, the network of advice that you turn to, professionally speaking, to help you navigate your financial future, I would recommend looking for fiduciaries. It's a Latin word that really means trust. But at the end of the day, a fiduciary is a legal obligation for taking your best interest and putting it at the forefront, first and foremost. So whether it's a financial advisor, you want a fiduciary, whether it's an attorney or CPA, or anybody in the professional world, you want a professional fiduciary as it relates to that specific profession because they're legally obligated to put your interest first. So if you're starting out, you want to pay attention to that. Or if you're in the middle of it, or you're even trying to sort of look for a different advisor in any different subject matter, from a CPA to attorney to financial advisor, please look for a fiduciary first because that's the person that's legally obligated to put your interest first. So how do you start? Well, take a look at sort of who you know, right? Personally and who you know professionally, and start mapping that out, writing that down. And some of the social media apps like LinkedIn can help you do that as well. But start that network and start building that network, and that will start day by day. You'll be surprised. It's easier than you think, and you know a lot more people in your network, and you can expand it a lot quicker than you might think. So just start today and think about who you know and start building that network, because ultimately that's going to continue to create a network of advice for you. because every person that you connect with and you network with also has a network within their own. So it's okay to not know, and it's okay to sort of not have a direction and even have a small list to start with. But think about this. It's a compounding effect of, going to somebody and asking for advice, and they actually have a network within their network. So you're exponentially expanding your success opportunity by building your network and using other networks within your own network. And finally, think about this. What we've been able to create, virtually speaking, is this network within CW3. So that's your first start, if you will. There's a network right here that can help each and every one of us in such a great way. We did this last year, and I'm telling you, it's just growing exponentially. So you already have a network of advice right built in here for you with the CW3. I'll leave you with this. Robert Kiyosaki once said, "The richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work." Our last key is self-care. Now, keep in mind, Katie Reed once said, self-care is giving the world the best of you versus what's left of you. It's critical that you take time for you personally to take that time, effort, energy, and that's what you're doing here today through the CW3 and long after. Take that self-care day and also financial wellness day. Now, there's a couple of aspects that I'd like to at least share with you that you could do personally. One of them is take a financial wellness day, right? So take a day off work or schedule it. I would recommend at least 4 times a year. So quarterly. Think about this. Neuroscience has proven that our brains are wired to work in 90-day increments. That's our seasons. That's quarterly planning for corporations, strategically speaking. 90 days is the key. So what I would submit for consideration on financial wellness and self-care is to take every 90 days, one day, and spend one day, whether it's budgeting, or one day, whether it's working on personal finances, and one day we're reducing expenses. If you continue to get into sort of a cadence, personally speaking, and become sort of a daily routine or a quarterly routine on top of your daily routine of your daily digital, right? Increasing your daily knowledge, but a planning routine on personal finance, personal wellness, you're going to improve that self-care aspect. Give the best of you to you, your family, and those around you, and that's exactly how you do it. Thanks to each and every one of you for attending the 2021 CW3 Confidence Summit. I'm truly blessed and honored that you're going to share your day with us, and the best is yet to come. So I'm excited for all the speakers we have, and really tune in and have some fun, and more importantly, learn and educate yourself. And it's going to be a wonderful day. So thanks for watching.